We have never checked out a bar-style grow light quite like this one, which is really exciting. Welcome to the Hippie Geeks. Let's take a look at the Spider Farmer SE3000 EVO grow light, measure its par levels, and talk about why this one is so interesting. As always, the first thing we need to do is get the light out of its packaging. Now, when I first looked at the box that the SE3000 EVO comes in, I was really surprised as it was pretty obvious from its shape that this light was already going to be mostly assembled. All of the other Spider Farmer bar-style grow lights that we have checked out in the past all needed to be completely put together by attaching the light bars to the hanging bars, but this one was going to be different. First up, we can see the bubble bag that comes with the electrical cord and hanging hardware, and I really prefer it when the cord is detachable like this, as you can easily buy a longer or shorter cable to fit your needs without having to use an extension cord as well. Next up, we are going to start removing all of the high-density foam that this light comes packed in, along with the sheet of stickers that they have been sending with each light for a while now. As you can see, as I pull all of the foam off, the light is not completely assembled, as we will need to hook up the driver and the controller to the light itself, but the light bars are all assembled like I expected them to be when I saw the shape of the box. One thing that surprised me when I started pulling the light out of the package is just how incredibly little this light weighs. I remember back to the very first bar-style lights that Spider Farmer sent us years ago, and I believe the original SE3000 that we looked at weighed around 40 pounds, so it looks like they have made a lot of changes since then, as this one only weighs about 12 pounds. To attach the controller, you just need to slide the tabs that are on the bottom of the little box into the slots on the top front of the light, and it will snap into place. You can remove this if you want as well to run the driver remotely outside of the tent, though I will be leaving it on the light for now. The next thing to do is attach the power cord between the driver and the light itself, and it is a decently long cord, which is what is going to allow you to run the driver remotely outside of the tent if you are trying to keep as much heat as possible out of the tent. The ends will easily push together, and then you just need to screw the connectors together to make sure they will stay secured. If you are planning on leaving the driver on the light inside of the tent, you will just need to press it into place on the back of the two central bars, as the tabs on the support brackets will match up with the grooves that are on the back of the light bars. This will hold it securely in place, while also letting you remove it again at a later date without any hassle. The final thing that I need to do is get the hanging hardware installed, which I am actually going to use this time. The thing I like about these hanging cables is that they are very low profile, which will let you easily hang it at any height inside of your tent, and it won't take up a ton of space at the top. This is also going to let you use the two ratcheting straps that the light came with to get it hung up, which is really nice. With all of that taken care of, it was time to get the light hung inside of the tent. For this video, we are going to be testing the SE3000 EVO inside of a 3-foot by 3-foot grow tent, which means that there is going to be about 6 inches of space around the entire light once it is centered in the tent. This light is only 23 inches by 23.5 inches, so you could actually squeeze it into a 2-foot by 2-foot tent as well. We will have a couple of different videos in the future where we check out this light inside of a smaller tent, as well as a 4-foot by 4-foot tent, just to see what the light levels look like in those situations as well. This is the first Spider Farmer light that we have checked out that has this digital controller, and I really like that they have included it with this one. The minimum power level that this light needs to turn on is 11%, and the nice thing is that the dial will jump from 0 immediately to 11 when you start to turn it up, so there is no dead space in the dial that you need to move past. You can change the power levels in increments all the way from the initial 11% to 100%, and the faster you turn the dial, the more it will jump up or down with each click. The dial also works as the function button, and as you push it in, you will see the green indicator on the left cycle through its settings. When it is in the bottom position, that means that the dial on the light is controlling the brightness. When it is on the middle position, that means that the light is able to be controlled remotely, which is what you will use in a daisy chain scenario if you are using multiple lights in the same grow space. The final position on the top actually just turns the light off, and I love it when there is an included off switch for when you are not using the light. First up, we are going to be measuring the par levels with the SE3000 EVO hung at 12 inches above the sensor, and the readings are always a little weird with these bar-style lights when they are this close, especially when there is space between the light and the tent walls, like we have with this setup. As I mentioned earlier, there is about 6 inches of space between the light and the tent wall on every side, which is why the light levels around the perimeter of the tent are so much lower than in the center. We are looking at light levels between 3 and 500 par in the corners, while it jumps up to almost 1100 in the center of the space. These are really intense light levels, and for most things you are going to be growing, you will want to either move the light further away or dim it down with the dial to get into a more reasonable range. Moving the light up to 18 inches away from the sensor shows all of the light levels starting to even out, and we are seeing just over 800 in the center area of the tent, with the far corners ranging from 350 to just over 500. Our light was pulling 305 watts from the wall with it turned all of the way to 100%, and we tested it at a few more light levels as well to give you an idea of how much power it will pull from the wall at different settings. With the dial set to 80, the light was pulling 250 watts from the wall. When we moved it to 60 on the dial, the light was pulling 186 watts. With the dial set to 40, the SE3000 EVO was pulling 124 watts from the wall. Moving the setting down to 20 on the dial brought the power draw to 63 watts, and finally setting it to 11% on the dial showed that the light was pulling 37 watts from the wall. Next up, we are going to move the light to 24 inches above the sensor, and in the center of the tent, we are going to see just over 700 par, while it is going to be between 376 and 461 par around the edges of the space. This would be a really great spot to hang the light for a lot of the things that folks are going to typically be growing in a tent like this, especially with being able to dim the light to your desired level as well. We did a lot of measurements with the light dimmed as well, which is what the par X numbers that you see are for. With the light hanging at 24 inches like this, and the center par level at just over 700 with the light turned all the way up, the way to figure out what the levels would be at a different setting is to multiply the par reading by the par X number that is the closest to the setting that you want. Let's say that we have the light set to 60 on the dial, then we would multiply 701 by the par X number, which for 60 would be 0.64, giving us 449 par. You can do that with any of the readings on these charts, and that should get you pretty close to the right par level. Now that we have moved the light up to 30 inches above the sensor, we are seeing a maximum of 564 par in the center area, with the light level staying pretty constant between 351 and just over 400 par at the far corners. I mentioned it earlier in the video when we were unboxing the light, but it is really incredible how little this light weighs, especially with how much light it is putting out. Grow tents are built to handle a certain amount of weight, and even with how heavy the original lights were, most tents were able to handle them no problem. That doesn't mean that it was exactly easy to hang it in the tent, and was always afraid that I was going to accidentally drop it somehow when I was adjusting the height and end up crushing the plants. That never happened, thankfully, but it is also not something that I will have to worry about with this version of the light, which is really nice. Moving the light up to 36 inches above the sensor has really evened out the light levels across the entire canopy, with the center par reading at 485, while the outer corners are between 336 and 391. For the amount of light you are getting at this hanging height, you would be better off actually hanging the light a little lower and then using the dimmer to bring the par levels down, as you would be able to save on electricity that way. However, if power draw isn't a huge concern for you, it is definitely easier to work inside of the tent when the light is hung higher in the tent, giving you space to work underneath it. These light levels would allow you to grow a lot of different things, however, especially if you are using it with a longer light cycle. Finally, with the light hung up at 48 inches above the sensor, we are looking at 384 par in the center area of the tent, with between 265 and 326 in the far corners. These are actually really decent numbers considering how far from the sensor the light is at this point, but really you shouldn't be hanging the light this far from whatever you are growing. Just move it closer and reduce the power level on the dial. The only real exception to that is if you are trying to absolutely minimize the amount of heat that is actually on your plants, as keeping it this far away will keep the plants as cool as possible. We have had a lot of questions from folks in really hot and humid climates on how to give their plants the best chance at thriving in the heat, and that means reducing the heat in the tent as much as possible. Move the light up as high as you can, have a ton of airflow, and hopefully run the lights at night to take advantage of the cooler weather. If you are looking for a very decent energy-efficient light, the Spider Farmer SE3000 EVO is a really great choice. This light will work great in a 3-foot by 3-foot tent like this, and I think that it would work even better in a 2-foot by 2-foot tent, which is something that we will be checking out in an upcoming video. I love that they seem to be releasing EVO versions of all of their SE and SF series lights, as these Samsung LM301H EVO diodes are some of the best ones on the market right now. If you want to check out the Spider Farmer SE3000 EVO or any of their other gear for yourself, make sure to click on the link to their website in the video description down below and use the discount code GEEKS at checkout to get 8% off your entire order.